So yes, this is the sort of front door here where everyone's going to land in Canvas. And so the interface here, this dashboard is going to show you your courses that you're enrolled in. And so everybody has been enrolled in our Growing with Canvas course, as well as a Sandbox course where you can try out whatever you want. The Growing with Canvas course is great. It's a tutorial on how to do everything in Canvas, but it's a self-paced online course that you can move through at your own pace. So I encourage you all to check that out later. On the left side of the screen, this is their global navigation menu, and it's just about everywhere you go in the system. This is always going to be over on the left, and it's basically the same for students. The only thing you won't see that I see is admin, since I've got all the fancy buttons. But under courses, it'll show you a list of all your courses. But one particular area I want to point out is this help button. This help button is going to be phenomenally useful for you and your students. So when you come into help here, the students can go to Canvas support chat. You can go to Canvas support chat. There's a Canvas help phone number. There's a button here to report a problem if you want to put in a ticket. There's a training services portal if you want to go look at some of Canvas's self-paced trainings. And then they also have Canvas guides where you can go just find specific tutorials on how to do specific things. So this help menu is wonderful. And then within an actual course site, which I'm going to click into in a moment, when a student clicks on help, there's a button right in here that's very prominent that allows them to send a message directly to you via email. So for students too, it's wonderful. All they got to do is click help, and that help button is visible on literally every single screen on Canvas. So shout out to the help, and Asani and Alex did a wonderful job customizing this all to make it pretty and add the appropriate and useful stuff. One extra layer of support we have with Canvas that we did not have previously is that Canvas actually provides support for their product. So off hours or in the evening, if someone has questions about Canvas, these live chats and these phone numbers go to people at Canvas that are always staffing the lines, which is wonderful, especially for people who teach or take online courses where a lot of that work is done off of business hours. This makes sure we have support available to students. Alrighty, so here on my list of courses, one tiny thing I just have to show before we get into an actual course is how easy it is to rearrange your list of courses here. In Blackboard, there was a whole gear mechanism to change things. On this one, you just drag and drop. Whatever order you want your courses in, you just click them, drag them, and put them where you want them. It's like it should have been that way all along, because it should have. All right, so let's jump into a course here. So click into training course. And here we are. So this is the landing page of a course site. So we've done a bunch of work to have a consistent homepage in every single course that, for the time being, is very focused on faculty and helping you all get up and running. And so we have our Canvas Get Started checklist. And so this will be on the front page of pretty much any course that you click onto. And it takes you step by step through some of the things we'll talk about in this course, in this workshop, but also explains some other training options that you have, and has some additional resources like our link to the migration form. If you're teaching a summer course, make sure you use this link to the migration form to request any content you might want from Blackboard to be moved over to Canvas, because that's something we have to do for you. Sooner you can get that in, the better. And then we have some other training options here. As I mentioned, we have that Growing with Canvas course that you can do. It's totally self-paced. We have this first day learning pathway, which is another option that's self-paced through Canvas. And then we have a little explanation of all the different training options that we're doing through Zoom, which is one of the trainings you're attending right now. And then there's also some little tips about things you might have done in Blackboard that are habits you might want to leave behind. And then this migration checklist, which you'll be able to use after you've had your content moved over from Blackboard to Canvas. So this is a really nice page. When you first come into Canvas and enter a course, make sure to read through it because it's going to help you get started getting ready for your summer and fall courses. Alrighty, so let's check my list here. Now we're going to go over to the modules page. So in Canvas, all of your content is really going to be organized into this modules page. So if you're thinking about where do I put my week folders, some people call them, some created folders on their menus for chapters or units, whatever you called those folders or learning modules, those are going to be organized into this modules page over on the left. So on this page, we already preload every course site with this Bristol Online Resources module. This is going to be really helpful for students because it has some just basic tutorial information for students who are taking a class at Bristol. So for information for them on how to get started using Canvas, how they can get Microsoft Office for free, how they can get tutoring and research help from the LLC, and then if they need it, how to use the accessibility tools in Canvas to change the interface and make any interface tweaks they might need to make this more usable for them. But it also serves as giving you an idea of what a module looks like. So it's kind of similar to the learning module tool in Blackboard. So when I come in here and I click on this first page, it just shows the page of content. And then in the corner, there's a little next button. So when I click on next, it'll take me to the next thing in the module. And these are just pages of information that we built. And then go to the next page, we find another page of content. So kind of can get the idea here. So this is sort of how you can sequentially organize your content for students. And you would make these for your weeks, your chapters, however you organize the modules of your course. So let's give that a try. So up here in the top right corner, I'm going to create a module. And I'm going to call my module week 1. And then I am going to add the module. Alrighty, so I've got my module here. Now I want to add stuff to it. So week 1, I got a little plus sign here. And I'm going to click that plus sign to add something. I know it's kind of tiny, but it's right here. Once you add a module, hit this plus sign, comes up, and that says, okay, what do you want to add? So there's a bunch of different stuff you can add to a module, just about anything. So you can create assignments where students submit work to you, like attachments, or can sort of create, fill out something or submit text to you. You have a quiz, or formerly known as tests. You can have students do multiple choice questions or, quizzes and scores and stuff like that. You can upload a file into your module. You can create pages, just blank pages where you can type text, kind of like we were looking at earlier with the resources we made. You can add a discussion forum to a module. You can also add text headers, which is just going to allow you to sort of break up your module and add little labels in between your content. External URLs are like a web link, so you can link out to something out on the internet. And then external tool, which connects to some of the integrations that we have connected. So think of things like Pearson, McGraw-Hill, anything that you would add that connects out to a sort of outside tool, VoiceThreads, all those types of things that are not Canvas specific, but connect to Canvas would be under external tools. So let's go try and work on some of these. So the first one I want to do is just a page. And I'm going to create a new page, but you can see I've already got some pages in my course. So let's create a new page, and I'm going to call it page 1. I'll get real fancy. Add item. All right, so I've got one page. So when I click on this page that I just created, it's going to take me inside of it. And in the top right corner, there's a button to edit. Let's edit. Alrighty, so this is kind of like working in a Word document, or if in Blackboard, you might have created items or content folders with descriptions in them. And this text box pretty much does the same thing, but I find it to be a little bit more powerful. So now this is the first page of my module. So I might say, welcome to week 1. This week we are going to cover. And then I might want to have like some bullets saying this, that, the other thing. And I can type some text for my students to see. Hopefully at this point, most folks are familiar with how to type in text up here, but you can highlight things to make it bold, underline, any of those buttons you see just about everywhere. But there's some other cool stuff in here that I want to point out. So in Blackboard, everything was very like upload one piece of content at a time. Put your video up, put your syllabus up, put your handout up, and everything was its own link. In Canvas, it's really better to build pages and populate those pages with different types of content. So for example, this one, I might want to also add a video onto this page or add some file from my OneDrive or upload something here that I want students to download and look at. So up on the text toolbar here, there's a whole bunch of different buttons to look at. So there's the normal paragraph formatting, bold, underline, highlighting, exponents, and things like that. But then there's also the ability to upload and record media, which is new. So if I do upload record media and I go to this record tab and allow, so right here within Canvas, I can record a video that's going to be put directly onto the page, which is really cool. And it's not something we ever had before. That's just right here. There's no extra tool. As long as you have a camera and a microphone, it will work. Now when you get to see this is my Disney shrine here. My my background has been revealed. So if I click on start recording, it's going to record me. I can say whatever I want. Welcome to module 1, everyone. Finish. And then I can just save it. And then it's going to embed the video right on the page I just created. No fuss, no uploading, no downloading. It just put that video right there. Pretty powerful. The only downside to this tool is that it doesn't automatically close caption, but it is still really useful for the reasons, the ability to put the feedback just about anywhere. You have the text editor, you can record something. It's pretty powerful. There's also a button right next to where I recorded media that's going to allow me to upload documents right onto the page. So if I click on Upload Document, I'm going to upload a file here from my computer and open. So this is just a Word document I picked from my computer. I'm going to submit, and there it is. So it just drops the link right there for the students. If they click on it, it's going to open the document that I just created. I'm going to do a little preview of what that looks like after I finish going over this so that you see it as the students see it. But I'm going to keep working through these buttons here. So the next button here is the YouTube button. This is on the second row. So if I click on this little YouTube button, I saw somebody asked about linking to YouTube videos in the chat. This is really the better way to do the YouTube video. So let's say cats. I want a cat video. So you find the video that you want from YouTube, and then you can embed it just by clicking the little button next to the picture of the video. It's kind of similar to the tool in Blackboard. You have the option to embed it in a few different sizes. You can either do small, medium, large. It doesn't really matter as long as you use this tool. It'll embed it. And there it is. Just pull the YouTube video right onto the page. Right next to the YouTube button is this little, it's hard to tell what it is, but it's an Office 365 button. So for anybody out there who uses OneDrive, you can actually pull video or pull content directly in from your OneDrive using this button. So if I click on that, I've already gone through the steps and connected my Canvas to my OneDrive, but here's everything. If I wanted to link to any of the stuff in my OneDrive, I would just check off the thing that I want and then link it in there. So for example, I'll grab the NETCHI self-study that we all read very thoroughly, I'm sure. And then we're going to attach that file, and it just puts it right in there. That's a cool feature. You can pull right from OneDrive, and it remembers you. So once you connect Canvas to OneDrive, it's just a button click away to pull anything you've got in your OneDrive into Canvas. Next up, let's look at this little plug here. So this little plug is going to connect to all the external tools. So we already looked at Office 365 and YouTube, but if I go to View All, it's going to allow you to pull in some of the other tools that we've configured. So Wiley is a textbook publisher, LLC, the Bristol LLC. If you use Pearson, it's just a way to pull just about any type of content that you can use from an external tool into the pages that you're building with your course. Same thing, VoiceThreads, everything's in here. One tool that I do want to sort of show off is the LLC resources, because this is a really cool tool that connects directly to the LibGuides. So from within here, you can choose all the different content that they have. You can link to a specific database. You can link to specific articles or e-reserves that you might have on reserve with them. But it's really a interesting and sort of robust tool to link to anything that the library has already licensed right within Canvas. They're working, the LLC folks, the librarians, are working on building more content specifically for faculty in here. But if you don't have a LibGuide for your course, I'd encourage you to reach out to a librarian because those are really helpful additions to your course. All right, so I'll just link to the databases list just so we can see what that looks like. It's going to be a very full page. So that's all I'm going to show for now on this building a page interface here. The bottom right corner of the text editor has some additional buttons down here. One of them is an accessibility checker. And so I just want to shout that out real quick. We have two right now, but if you click on it, of course, I did not make any accessibility issues, so I don't have any. But if you had any accessibility, if it detected any accessibility concerns in what you had created, it would tell you right here. Common things that might be accessibility concerns would be if you don't have enough contrast between the background of the text and the text. So for example, don't do dark red on a dark black background. It's hard for people to see. Or don't embed an image that doesn't have a description with it, so that someone who's not able to see the screen is able to see it. Accessibility really is its own workshop, but it's a nice little tool that you can use to check to make sure that what you're posting is going to be available to all of your students. And then underneath the box here, before I hit save, you can choose to publish something at a later date if you want. So this is kind of like availability dates in Blackboard. So if I didn't want students to see this until Friday, I could say don't show this until Friday, and then it will just sort of post it and save it, but it doesn't actually show up to the students until the date that you chose. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just save it and publish it all at once. Here we are. All right, so this is what the page I just created looks like. So here's that text I had, the bolded text, the video that I recorded. Very simple. I can say video is recorded beautifully in HD. And then this is the document that I uploaded. So the documents have a really cool way that they display. So when you click on the document, one huge benefit to Canvas is that students don't have to have Word or don't have to have PowerPoint to view those files. Canvas is actually able to open it and show it to the students right within the browser without them having to download anything. So they don't have to, go dig it up in their downloads. And kind of the same for you. With students upload in here, you don't have to save those to your computer. They just show up. Um, Sometimes they take a moment to load. Come on, Canvas. Let me try again. I was just bragging about how fantastic you are, and now you're gonna make a fool of me?
Yeah, sometimes it just the first click, sometimes it takes a second to load.
Okay, well, I think if I click yeah, back out and then go back through. Try again. Here we go. So as you can see, it opens up the document. This is my notes for the presentation I'm doing right now. That's just the document I had there, but this is just a Word document. So students can view the document right in line. If they want to download it, the button to download is up in the corner. But for a lot of stuff that you upload, students just need to look at it and read it. And especially for the students who are using Chromebooks, uploading Word documents can be a little difficult for them to open sometimes. So this removes that barrier. Wonderful addition. And as you can see, there's a video here, but I wanted to show the library resources. So that database I installed, not only does it add, connect students like a link, but it actually embeds it right in the page. So students don't even have to leave your course to search the database or the LibGuide that you link them to. Just shows up right on the page. It's really nice. Canvas does a wonderful job of making it so that students don't have to leave your course site. It allows you to pull everything in so that they can stay on track and stay focused on what you want them to look at. All right, any questions so far on modules and how I just created that page? Oh yeah, let me go take a look at the chat. I know Asani and folks have been responding. Uh, Canvas support. Yes, Canvas support is available 24/7. That help menu I showed, the phone number and stuff. Yes, we can link to YouTube videos as I showed. Journal URLs. Yes, you can link YouTube videos still if you want to. Can we prevent students from downloading a file? If you post something on here, you can't prevent them from downloading it. Making it view only. Once it's up there, they could download it if they want to, but um, that's not such a change in feature. Weekly content demo separated, so this is just week one. Yep. So this would be like building out week one. So if I come back to my modules page here, this is week one, and this is just one page. So if I come in here, I can add more pages, subsequent pages of, I call it a page one, but you might be like broken out by theme, topic, whatever type of content you want to add. You kind of think about it like building a book. And that book contains all your content and assignments for the course. All right, so let's add some more stuff to this module. So if I click on the plus sign again, this add dropdown is always where I'm starting from. So here I created a page, but let's try uploading a file directly. So I'm going to create a brand new file. I'm going to click Create File here, and I'm going to choose Files, and I'm going to go grab this document from my computer, and then I'm going to add it to my folder or to my module. And that's it. So uploading a file is pretty simple. If you just want to upload a file, you just click the plus, add a file, and there it is. But similar to how we uploaded that file onto page one, when the students or you click on the file, it still opens up right in the browser. So students don't have to worry about doing the downloads again. And of course, it's going to make a fool out of me again because I clicked it the first time, but I promise it will load. It just takes a moment to process those. Now let's go back to the plus button again and look at something else. So here, I'm not going to go over assignments, quizzes, and discussions because those are actually their own workshops. But just know that those can be added to your modules as well. So you can add in, just like you would put, the idea here is to put things in the order you want students to go through them. So upload a page welcoming them to the week or module, what's going on, any files, and then in the order they need to go through, you put the assignment they're doing, the discussion they're doing, or the quiz they're doing. And it's pretty easy to just rearrange these things. You just click and drag to move whatever you want to be in a different order. But on top of that, if I come to add something else here, I want to show text headers. So these are just little labels you can use to organize things, especially if you have a lengthier module with a lot of stuff in it. So let's say handouts here is going to be my header. And what I can do is I can use these little text headers to break things up. So if I had a few different handouts I wanted to upload, I could say handouts is my header. And it's not anything students click on, it's just a visual organizer for things that are laid out vertically. Kind of like you could do similar to items in Blackboard, where you could just say this is a header, and then you can see that this stuff is all indented underneath it a little bit. So visually, it just helps students see that. Finding and assessing students' work is another workshop. Yes, at the end of the workshop, I'll circle back and show you the full list of workshops we have. But yes, we have grading, and grade book is its whole own hour. So if I click this plus button again, let's see what else we might want to add. So external URL, someone had asked about adding a link to a website or a YouTube video. This is still very much an option. I'll grab this link here. And so you put your link to the website you want to send students to, and then you would say Canvas homepage. And then you can choose to open it in a new window /tab. But external URL is one way to add links. We generally think it's better to add links to pages, and same thing with files, adding multiple things to one page versus putting things piecemeal. But you do have the option to do that if you want. And when a student comes here and clicks on a link, it'll just take them out to this to the website that you sent them to. Alrighty. In modules, you also have the ability to indent things. So because it's all very sort of vertically designed, you can indent things using the little buttons to the right of each thing you've uploaded to the module. So just in terms of managing content in your modules altogether, these little 3 dot buttons to the right of each piece of content are how you would like edit or access the settings for something. Kind of like similar to in Blackboard, the little down arrow button next to things. So if I click this down arrow button, not down arrow button, I'm too programmed to Blackboard. If I click the 3 dots button, there's options here to edit the thing that I've already uploaded. So I could edit that web link and revise the name or something. I can move it, so I can move it to a different module or different place on the screen, or I can increase the indent or remove it / delete it. I want to show off the indentation because it can be a nice way to organize things. So here, for example, if I had handouts and I indent this in, I can have that little layer there. So it's just sort of separated from what else is already on the page as its own little sort of visual chunk. Think of it kind of like a bulleted list where you can have multiple levels of indentation. You can do the same thing in your modules. And so you can increase the indentation, I think, up to 3 levels. So you can have something indented twice, 3 times, and you kind of organize it like a bulleted or numbered list. And so the need to indent really depends upon how much content you put into a module. If you usually only have 5 to 10 things in a module or a week folder, you may not need to indent very much, but some people do have a lot of stuff. So if you need to, indentation can be a way to make a list of module contents that's quite long, be a little more visually manageable and navigable for your students. So next up, let's talk a little about moving. So one cool feature here is you may not use it a lot, but for the module as a whole, when you click the 3 dots button next to the name of the module, you can, if you needed to, move the entire contents of one module somewhere else. So that was always a difficult thing in Blackboard is if you had everything in week 10, you wanted to move it into a new folder, you had to move everything one at a time. And in this case, you can say move the contents, and it'll just say, okay, where do you want to move everything in this module to? And I'll say, okay, move it over to the Bristol Online Resources module. And then it'll take everything out of week 1 that I just made and move it over there. One click. Very useful. Or you can just drag and drop it. So if I want to move this in here, I can just drag it and drop it up here. Or I can pull it back down. It's much more intuitive and much more modern interface to move things around the course, rename things. You'll find things are less buried and less layers deep. And it saves you a lot of time with generating content. Okay, let me check my list here. Uploading files, we did that. We did headers, moving stuff around. Publishing, okay. So when you want to post something in Canvas, this is sort of a newer layer that folks have to consider. Content isn't visible to students until you publish it. So publishing is indicated by these little green checks or little circles with lines through them to the right of everything on your modules page. So if something's not published, that means students can't see it. So you can publish things individually. So if I click the little circle with a line through it here next to page 1, it published it. Now it's a green check mark. Very simple. If it's a green check mark, students can see it. If it's no green check mark, students can't see it. And it follows the structure that you have on the screen. So if week 1, the whole module isn't published, they won't see anything inside of it. So if I click the little circle with a line through it on week 1, it shows, do I want to publish the module and everything in it? So sort of at once, send it all out to students. You can do that. Do you want to only publish the module, which means they'll see week 1, but not necessarily anything that isn't published inside of it? Or you can do the opposite and unpublish everything so students can't see it. So it's like a show hide. I'm going to publish everything. And now everything will have the green check. So that means everything students can see is indicated by the green check, the green publish check mark. You can check what you've posted for students in the top right corner of your course. There's a student view button. So if you click on student view, it will change a little bit. So over on the left, some of the links that are only for instructors go away. And then now you see it exactly as they do. So they can't edit, but they can see everything you uploaded, and it's all there for them to look at. And then down here in the bottom right corner, I'm going to leave student view to go back to being an instructor. Okay. One interesting new feature that has been brought forward with Canvas is the ability to sort of connect your modules to one another. So for example, if you wanted to make it so that students had to finish the week content in week 1 before they saw what was in week 2, excuse me, before they could see what was in week 2, that is something that you can do. So I'm going to make a module here and call it week 2. And there's this functionality called adding prerequisites. And that's going to be a prompt every time you upload something on this module page. So if I click on add prerequisite, I'm going to say week 1 is the prerequisite for week 2. And then I'm going to add the module. And so what this does is it's going to show it to students. They can't access any content in it. But once you've published it, they'll see the prerequisite is that you complete week 1. And so that's going to mean that students will have to have looked at or submitted, completed, whatever you had in week 1 before they're able to see week 2. And that's automatic. So the system is tracking per student whether or not they've done what they need to do to unlock basically week 2. They'll see it there, they just can't click it. It'll say you can't access this until you finish week 1. And so that's pretty powerful. Some people like to control things with dates, and so that's an option as well. So if I edit my module here, you can also choose to lock something until. And so you can say, lock this until a certain date so the students can't get to it until, if you want to build week 3 or week 4 a few weeks ahead of time. When you're making your modules, you can also do that and sort of schedule it out ahead of time. But this is sort of adds an interesting additional layer. So now you can have your course unfold by dates, which is still quite popular. But it kind of opens up the ability for folks to have their course unfold as the student chooses to progress through it. Is it okay for a student to move on to week 2 once they complete week 1, even if they do it really quickly? Maybe not something everybody in every course wants to do, but that is something that is an option now. So that is prerequisites. The next piece is, oh, hold on. I'm getting a message here from the wizard behind the curtain about something I just showed. Oh, I have to add requirements to week 1. Okay, so yeah, that's the spirit of the publishing, the prerequisite functionality. I also want to show pulling some content from an external source. So adding content to a module, there's this external tool option, and this is where some of the stuff folks used under the manage, not manage, it was like an external button at the content market in Blackboard content areas. So this is where you're going to find things like Pearson. We also have this new functionality called Brightwave Deep Link. So if you create content, I'm not if you create content, if you use a textbook publisher and you have your students have to buy codes through the bookstore, adding a link to the Brightwave Deep Link is helpful because it sort of connects students to the site where they have to go to get those codes. So that's a helpful link you can add. We also have Cengage. We have a live chat tool. Some of the tools people might have used, like in bio, they use this eLab tool. There's some stuff from the library, like Films on Demand, that connects you to the different licensed films that the library has for folks. Flatworld is an OER book provider. These are all things some people use, some don't, but I just want to go through them. Follett Discover is our bookstore, if you wanted to link students to the bookstore. Labster, those LLC resources I mentioned earlier, Lumen, which is another sort of external provider. You can link to something from your Office 365, kind of like I showed earlier in the text editor. Perusal and Piazza are assessment tools. Vimeo, Visible Body. We have, just about VoiceThread. If you wanted to add a VoiceThread, the VoiceThread button's right here. This is how you'd add that to the page. You can pull something from YouTube. You can link to a URL. But anything, like I mentioned here, that's external to Canvas that you'd want to pull into a module, you do it as an external tool. The way each one is pulled in is different, and I don't want to get too deep into those since they don't, not everybody uses those, and the ones people use are very specific. But everything that you would use now would be under external tool if it's not a specific Blackboard tool, like I said, VoiceThread, Pearson, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so just to go back a little bit to sort of an overview of the interface. Over on the left is the course menu. This is not really customizable. This is just sort of the way things are laid out. So over on the left, for example, if I click on announcements, that's the same in every single course. If I click on where discussions are, that's the same in every single course. Quizzes, assignments, these are all fixed areas that students and you build content in and access content in. And the nice thing about this is it creates a much more consistent experience for the students. So if they're in your class, the assignments are in the same place that they can be found in anybody else's class. And same thing for quizzes or their grades. Students learn where to go once, and it's always where they need it. You create your own quizzes and your own dates and publishing and all that stuff, but at least the navigation side of it's going to be a lot simpler for students and a lot simpler for you because you don't have to make those areas. They're already sitting there waiting for you. This Zoom is built in automatically to everyone's courses. The accessibility functionality in Canvas is really impressive. For anybody who's going to use the system, in the lower right corner, there's this little purple circle with a body on it. And this is what's called Yuja, Yuja Panorama, which is a new tool we have. And it's going to allow you or any user using Canvas to customize the interface to look however works best for them. So they have some default profiles in here. So if someone's colorblind, they can turn on the colorblind filter, and it just makes some subtle changes to the interface to make it more compatible for somebody who's colorblind. If someone has seizures, it makes changes that remove any flickering effects or any flashes. If someone has ADHD, it creates this little extra layer on top that allows you to focus on certain areas. It follows your mouse arrow. You can change the font here to be if you're visually impaired, the certain fonts are easier for folks to be able to recognize than others, and it increases the size of the cursor, as you can see. And then there's also sort of subtle, simple adjustments you can make. So, for example, for me, I usually need the font to be a little bit bigger because I wear glasses and that helps me. So I can scroll down here and I can say, make the font a little bit bigger for me, and it will do that. And it remembers it from session to session. So you change this stuff once, and then every time you come into Canvas, it remembers what you need things to look like, and it presents it to you in that way, which is really fantastic. And it gives folks the experience that they need without having to impact or change how everybody else uses the system. Everybody can make it look exactly how they need it to. One of the cooler things that I like to show is the color adjustment, where you can basically put it in like a dark mode. Which one is it? There we go. So you can completely invert Canvas if that's something better for your eyes. And it will actually sort of smartly convert. You can still read everything there, but it's a really powerful function to be able to convert and change the pages to be the way that you want them to work. I didn't save my changes, which is why that didn't save. But yeah, it's pretty impressive. And you can change, all the different buttons. And sometimes it's fun to just come in here and play around and see like, oh, that's better on me. I personally like having a darker background. I find it to be easier on my eyes because I'm constantly staring at a computer screen. But this is sort of the inverted version of Canvas. And as you can see, when you actually click save, it saves it from page to page, and it remembers to reapply it every time you go in. For the purposes of workshops, I try to keep it just the regular view so that everyone knows what that looks like. But let me turn all that off. But okay, reset, please. Save. That is Yuja. So that is the interface changer, but there's also the ability for students to convert the actual files and content you uploaded into the system. So the Blackboard version of this was called Ally, but next to your files, you see these little icons. Students will see it as well. And when they click on it, they can choose to convert something to whatever format they want. So they can convert your content to PDF, they can convert it to OCR if you've uploaded something that's scanned. It also has some really powerful functionality in its ability to read math language. So LaTeX is the language the math folks use. It can actually read, equations and things like that to students who might not be able to visually access the content through their site. They might use an assistive tool. So this is really cool. And then for the instructors, there's also this accessibility report. And if you click on accessibility report, it will tell you in the content that you've uploaded here for students, if there's any stuff that you might want to re-examine to make it more accessible to students. So for example, this document doesn't have a title. So it tells me you should add a title to this document, and then if I click how to fix, it will tell me how to fix that. And actually shows a video of exactly how to fix what needs to be fixed in Microsoft Word. So the accessibility functionality has really leveled up as well with this system, and we are very happy to have this new tool. We do find that the students use it more than the faculty, and that's quite all right because it works for them in the background. One function that is really powerful, and you'll see this button in a few different places, is the immersive reader. And so if I click on Immersive Reader, it's really um, really engaging digital first way to view content on the computer. And so when you open it, it takes whatever content you have and turns it into this totally manipulatable, if that's a word, view. So when you're looking at it, you can change the font size of what you're looking at. You can change the font. You can make the background darker or lighter. You can highlight the nouns. You can highlight verbs. You can specifically look at the adjectives. You can add more spacing, kind of like we had shown with the ADHD filter that allows people to sort of look at one line at a time. And this is just about anything that's in Canvas can use this, can allow students to view something in this mode. And then also within here, they can listen to the sound of it as well.
Assessment.
They can click on particular words and have the whole thing. I don't think I shared my sound, but it'll read the whole document to them. They can adjust the font size, the color, whatever works best for them. It's really powerful. They can adjust the speed at which it reads to them. The immersive reader is really where it's at for looking at content. I use it all the time to look at whatever I'm looking at because I generally need the font to be expanded a little bit and I need a little more contrast than just white on black. Does that work on their exams too? I don't think it works on the quizzes tool. I don't believe so. I think there's a version of it. They can have quiz questions read out loud to them if they want to, but I don't think that it can like totally adjust the interface. So that is Yuja, and that is the ability to do that. So that is pretty much everything I wanted to cover in this workshop. Are there any questions about what I've shown so far before I segue into showing you how to find out about more workshops and things to learn?
Andrew, this is Gabe.
Hey.
How does migration work? Is that the same thing as course copy in Blackboard, or?
So migration's a little bit different. So since we're moving from one system to another, things don't move over just sort of easy peasy. So what we have is a form that folks can fill out, and I'll move into this now. We have this form, and I can share this link with folks after the workshop as well. But this form, forever logging back in. Give me just a moment here. Here we go. Alrighty, so we have this summer 2024 course migration form that folks fill out. So especially if you're teaching this summer, it's important to fill out this form as soon as you can. So what it will have you do is tell us what course you need from Blackboard from the past, when it's running in the summer, and then we will go into Blackboard, get that course for you, pull it into Canvas, and then let you know once it's available for you to do to work with. That process involves us doing some manual work on our side, rearranging things, checking to make sure things came over correctly. So it's not instant. It might take a little while, but once you fill this form out, it does get sent right to us. And then from here, one of the members of our team will start working on it, and then we'll let you know when it's migrated over. If we have any questions about it along the way, somebody will reach out, but that'll all be through email.
For the fall, you'll let us know later this month when that's going to happen?
You got it.
Fall.
Yep. Probably the last week of April, we'll put out the form for folks to request their fall courses be migrated.
Okay, thank you.
Sure thing. But that's a great.
Andrew?
Oh, yep.
I have a question. What if you have several courses that you've taught and you're only teaching one of them in the fall, say? What happens to your other courses that are on Blackboard that you may want to use again?
So right now we're focusing and we're sort of prioritizing the courses that are about to run. But the version of Blackboard that we have, we're keeping it around through at least June of next year. So it's not going away. So right now we have to focus on the courses that are running because we just have a lot. So for example, for summer, there's a little over 400 courses. For fall, there will be around 8, and then the same for spring. So just in terms of volume, we have to focus on the courses running, but once we get through all those, probably early spring, we'll be able to circle back and let people request any other courses that we can go get for them. But nobody will have to lose anything. If it's in Blackboard right now, we can get it moved over. It's just a matter of timing.
Thank you.
Sure thing. So I just put a link in the chat to this page, but this is really our homepage, and I'm sure some of you have already seen this page, but just to give you an idea of how we're rolling out Canvas. So right now, Canvas is available to only faculty. You can get to it through this page, or Blackboard has a little login to Canvas button here on the right. And on this page, you'll see a link to what can you expect when you log in, some of what I already said. You'll find a link to that course migration form. If you want to request having your summer course set up, we can do that for you. And then it has a little overview of how the different ways you can get help, and then a link to our workshop calendar, which is where you found this. And then you can book an appointment with a member of the team right there through this button, and all of the appointments can be booked with it. Sort of just puts you with whoever's available at the time that you need to meet. So I really recommend everybody check out this page and use it to get started with Canvas. Like I said, by the end of the day today, hopefully your courses for summer and fall will be showing up here. They'll just be empty courses, but you'll also have a sandbox course, like I said. So it'll say, like, for example, for me, it would say 811 sandbox, and you can do whatever you want in that site. Try clicking around, click the buttons, and you can't break anything. Students won't get in there. Just try it out. So that wraps up what I wanted to cover today. I appreciate you all being here for our inaugural Canvas workshop. We're excited to let everybody in. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat or unmute. We're happy to talk. Oh, one more thing. Sorry, I keep wrapping up. The workshop calendar. So we have a bunch of different workshops. So we have one, which you just did today, organizing, creating content. The one we have tomorrow is on creating assignments. So that is going to be how your students can submit work to you that you grade, similar to the assignments tool in Blackboard. So accepting attachments and a whole lot more. We're also going to go over plagiarism and artificial intelligence detection in that workshop. Artificial intelligence, yeah, exciting. We also have a workshop that specifically focuses on quizzes and tests. So making your timed quizzes and all the functionality that comes with that. We have a workshop on interaction and communication, where we'll focus on using the mail tool, using announcements, all the different ways you can communicate with your students. We have a workshop on discussions and groups. The groups tool is really interesting in Canvas. It has some cool functionality and opens up some new possibilities for group work in your classes, especially online. Grading and gradebook, where we'll focus on how to grade all the different types of stuff students submit and how to get around the gradebook feature in general. And then we also have our new feature rodeo, where we'll go through highlighting some specific features that members of our team have found to be the coolest in Canvas, that we think faculty will like, and that are something we haven't really ever seen or had before, that don't fit into any of those buckets, but are really cool. So there's 7 different types of workshops, and we are offering them, and this calendar shows them from now through the end of June. So just because you might not be able to go to one this week or next week, we are repeating each one 6 times on different days and different times, and we spread them out as much as we possibly could so that as many people can get to them as possible. We'll also be posting recordings of each of these workshops as well. I'll share this recording with everyone today. I'll send it out in an email, but we'll also be posting a recording of each one on the website so that if anybody can't come to a future one, it'll be there. But the recordings won't be there until we've done the first one of each. So after the end of next week, there'll be recordings of each one for folks to see as well. Alrighty, so I hope you'll consider attending some of our future workshops, and I hope you've enjoyed getting a peek into Canvas. We'll hang around until 10 if anybody has any questions, but otherwise, thank you for coming.